Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Here's your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report. I will be going over the new timeline for the fourth round of stimulus payments in this video. Thank you so much, everyone. A few weeks ago, the Internal Revenue Service faced a historic backlog of individual tax returns. Now that the backlog is at 8.5 million, the Internal Revenue says that delays could be 120 days before Americans could receive returns or payments for their 2020 taxes. For reference, the Internal Revenue says that refunds normally take around 21 days to process. The IRS also has an online tool to check your refund status here, but millions are still in the dark about when this all might be resolved. It is partly to do with the staffing and also due to growing workload. As was reported over the last 2 months, the Internal Revenue Service has been handling stimulus check processing, as well as child tax credit payments, which are going out on the 15th of every month. So for an agency like the Internal Revenue Service, which was short-staffed before the crisis, these new tasks have added a wrinkle to an otherwise smooth process. There are a few reasons for this, but the National Taxpayer Advocate says it comes down to a perfect storm. If your tax return is deemed incomplete or is complete with errors, there is a strong likelihood that you'll receive a letter in the mail before receiving an actual refund. Another reason would be that the IRS flagged your refund as suspicious due to identity theft or concerns. The IRS says that the earned income tax credit filers, as well as child tax credit recipients, are noting some delays in getting their 2020 returns paid out. The federal programs that provided income support to millions of American workers who were unable to work due to this crisis came to a halt at the beginning of September. It has been calculated that around 7.5 million Americans saw all of their unemployment benefits that they were receiving come to a complete stop.
Of course, over the next few weeks, the House and Senate must also come together to address the debt ceiling. In America, when it's time to pay the bills, we follow through on our obligations without exception. For a long time, addressing the debt ceiling was considered a routine and responsible step that both sides worked together to achieve. Even when President Trump was in office, Democrats worked 3 times with Republicans to suspend the debt ceiling, because it was the right and obvious thing to do. We didn't pick excuses and say, here's why we don't want to do it. We knew it was important, and it was time to lay aside differences and move it forward. But now, unfortunately, some of our Republican colleagues, even though they were eager to have Democrats support them when President Trump was president, some of our Republican colleagues have reportedly contemplating a reckless idea spearheaded by the Republican senator from Wisconsin to oppose any effort to raise the debt ceiling whatsoever. And unfortunately and sadly, the Republican leader seems to be going along. Let me be clear. Taking the debt hostage and playing games with the full faith and credit of the United States is reckless, irresponsible, and will harm every single American. It's a complete non-starter. This is not just another political debate. It's about honoring our unbroken commitment to pay our debts and avoid another financial crisis at a crucial moment for our country. Now, it's important to remember that this is not about greenlighting future spending. This is about paying debt from past spending, which was incurred during the Trump administration and which received favorable votes from a majority of Republicans and Democrats. Indeed, it's a new study that came out. According to the Nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, the Trump administration incurred $5.4 trillion in new debt after the debt ceiling was raised in 2019, up through his last day of office. So all of the new $5 trillion in debt, bottom line, was caused under the Trump administration, not by Democratic spending, under the Trump administration. $5.4 trillion from the last day the debt ceiling was raised in 2019 to the last day of Trump's being in office. Another report by the Treasury Department further states that over the entirety of the Trump administration,
Even as the economy recovers, not all will be able to re-enter the workforce immediately, either due to a mismatch of skills for the jobs available or the lingering complications caused by this crisis. It's been shown that the unemployment benefits weren't the main reason holding people back from finding a job, which were causing labor shortages. Prior to the federal income support programs for those out of work coming to an end, the Biden administration called on states across our nation to use relief funds authorized by Congress to extend unemployment benefits. However, no state labor department has announced that additional benefits are on its way. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said at a press conference last week that her hands were tied in the matter due to the deficit incurred by the state's unemployment system during the crisis. This is the case in other states as well, which saw historic numbers of residents claiming benefits for the first time. For workers who found themselves without employment beyond the amount of time they were allowed under their state's regular unemployment insurance system, they had access to a pair of programs. These long-term unemployed could receive emergency unemployment compensation, which provided an additional 13 weeks of income support. Nearly 4 million workers were collecting jobless aid from this program in mid-August. The other program, Extended Benefits, is a federal state aid program that provides additional weeks depending on unemployment rate in your state. While these benefits have ceased in most states, either because the unemployment rate is now below the threshold or the state can no longer cover the costs without the federal funds, which expired, a few U.S. states will still continue payments. So everyone, what are your thoughts on the current relief programs that are available right now for everyone? Do you agree with me that more stimulus relief should be provided to the American people? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Senator Bernie Sanders said, "There is a real danger. Congressional Democrats could fail to deliver on two major pieces of legislation, furthering President Biden's domestic agenda if moderates like Senator Joe Manchin cannot agree on the price tag." Bernie Sanders has repeatedly said he would support progressive House Democrats who have vowed to block the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed in the Senate last month if the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation package that passed the House stalls in the Senate. Asked by ABC's whether Democrats could wind up with nothing, Bernie Sanders responded, "That is a possibility, and I think that would be a disaster for the American people. There is a real danger that this bill will lose, that the infrastructure bill will lose in the House." Thank you so much, everyone, for watching my video this afternoon. I greatly and truly appreciate it. Please make sure to enter the keyword for this. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very blessed